Social justice was a value that was instilled in me at an early age, and I tried to incorporate that into different aspects of my life, whether it's politically or through my employment and personal choices.
In 2009, former Gallup Organization employee Michael Lindley filed a qui tam lawsuit against the company, alleging it had defrauded the U.S. government by grossly overcharging for its services. It was a difficult decision that Michael made at the end of a deeply disillusioning year.
Gallup described themselves as a private company for the public good. And part of their appeal was they had the same mission as, say, a not-for-profit, but with the resources of a corporation. Every day we said, how are we going to try to change the world? A main component of my job was being able to determine what the true cost of a project was.
Michael's complaint alleged that within weeks after starting to work at Gallup, he discovered that Gallup was using two sets of books, an official budget that Gallup submitted to the government with inflated hours and costs, and an internal budget where a Gallup partner hand-wrote much lower numbers. The complaint further alleged that when Michael warned his superior that he would report Gallup to the Justice Department if they did not stop overcharging the government, Gallup fired him.
Did I feel like I was in a situation where my ethics were compromised? Absolutely. And I had to make a choice between keeping my job with this company and being able to live with the work that we were doing on a daily basis. My biggest concerns about coming forward, first, was that no one would believe me. The second biggest fear was retaliation from the company. I met with multiple other law firms, and VS&G was the firm that I felt both had extensive experience as Department of Justice prosecutors. The other firms that I met with tried to pressure me into signing a contract immediately, sometimes without even having met in person. My personal advice to anyone in this situation is don't ever do that. I don't feel like I chose Vogel, Slade, and Goldstein so much as that we chose each other.
Michael and I did pick one another as a lawyer and a client, as we do all the clients we ultimately choose to work for.
My specialty was what happened at Gallup. And so they could come back to me, how does Gallup function? What is the internal processes? What happened? And that I knew. Janet and Rob, their specialty was understanding the law and the legal process and how you take action.
Lindley and his lawyers from Vogel, Slade, and Goldstein, along with Katz, Marshall, and Banks, convinced the U.S. government to join his case against Gallup.
We were fortunate to have a close, good working relationship with the federal team.
The Department of Justice took me serious as a witness because they respected my attorneys and they respected their opinion.
One of the key things that someone who is in Michael's position can do is to contemporaneously document what's going on. That could be by informing management in writing of what's going on. It can also be keeping the documents that you have seen that prove the wrongdoing. Michael kept the essential documents, and that was critical to the success of his case.
In 2013, the Gallup Organization agreed to pay the U.S. $10.5 million to settle the lawsuit. Michael Lindley received a qui tam award of $1.9 million. Lindley and his lawyers separately resolved a confidential settlement with Gallup for his claims of unlawful termination.
I joke about it. With my friends, I call Janet my war buddy, like my buddies from war. And not to take anything away from actual veterans, but that's kind of how it feels on an emotional level. Yeah, that we went through this conflict together, and now we came out on the other end of it and are both better off for it.
When I look back at the work I've done in my legal career, my work with Michael, for Michael, and what we achieved is one of the things I'm most proud about.
Do you feel like you're completely alone? and there's no way you can stand up to a multinational corporation. But then you realize that you actually have all the power of the United States government on your behalf, and that's far more powerful than any corporation.